Okay, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today with MMA fighter Colby Thicknesse discussing UFC 271 with Bam Bam Tai Tuivasa versus the Black Beast Derrick Lewis, man. A big fight from two bangers. Man, it's going to be exciting.
Man, this is just has like heavyweight sort of drama and everything written all over it. It's like you got Ty, who's always entertaining, and you have like Derrick Lewis, who is super unpredictable. So there's like a few different ways you can see this fight going. It's going to play out, and I think we should expect fireworks.
Yeah, like you said, man, there's some awesome fights coming up, and this one's going to be one of those fan favorites. Like everyone loves Tai Tuivasa, drinking shoeies, representing the West Side Eshays, and then you've got like Derrick Lewis, my balls is hot, and so you got two funny guys, man. It's going to be entertaining, you know.
Yeah, definitely. It's good because not only with the fight ability, but like you said, there's a lot of personality behind these guys too. So like hopefully because it's on the 271, like hopefully we get a press conference with these two. And I think these two still will show up at press conference. I think that'll be great to see.
Do you reckon they'll even have a go at each other though? They don't really do much of that, right? These guys, they kind of just talk a bit of shit, but not really, yeah.
Hopefully it's just a bit of more fun shit. I could see Bam Bam saying something smart and Derrick Lewis might get a bit cut, but who knows?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting too. These guys, like, they barely ever wrestle. Like you see in some of his earlier fights, Lewis kind of threatened a bit more, but lately he doesn't seem to threaten the wrestling as much, right? He seems to just be happy to stand and bang and kind of wait for the chance to knock people out.
Yeah, he's a sort of fighter style. Way I like to explain to people who don't really watch too much of him is he's a sort of guy who he could be losing in a 5-round fight for 24 minutes and 50 seconds, but all he needs is that one shot throughout the fight and he can put your lights out and you have to be switched on. Perfect example is him versus Volkov or even him versus Curtis Blades. The first round, Curtis Blades was doing all the right things, faking the takedown, setting up shots, picking him off, looking really good. Looked like Derrick Lewis didn't have a read. Curtis Blades went in for one takedown without setting it up, got caught with a short uppercut, and that was lights out. Same with Volkov. Volkov was dominating for pretty much 24 and a half minutes of that fight. He sort of switched off for 10 seconds and boom, Lewis caught him. So it's dangerous in that respect with his fight style. You have to be on for the full 15 to 25 minutes when you fight him.
Yeah, man. And you look at him and you watch him fight, he doesn't look that impressive, right? Like I watch him, I'm not that impressed by him, but he just ices people, man. And he's fought some of the best, man, whether he's won or lost. He's fought some killers, man. He's fought Ngannou, he's fought JDS, DC, Mark Hunt, so many people, man. Curtis Blades, like, he just got so much experience and a big record of 35 fights with 29 wins, 21 knockouts, man. So it's a big fight for Ty to step up and fight a guy of this sort of experience, you know?
I think it comes at a perfect time for Ty too, because this is a sort of win that can really sort of elevate him because he is coming off for like 4 KO wins. And then so this fight against Lewis, who obviously looks very good against Dorcas in his last fight. Against Cyril Gane, he just pretty much got like outclassed and Gane's now fighting from the belt. But besides that, he was on a 4-fight win streak, beating guys like Blades, Olenek. So like it's a very good fight for Ty to sort of prove where he fits into the sort of upper echelon of the division. And if he can get this win done, he should sort of see a top 5 contender next.
Do you reckon he can get it done, man? That's the question. I mean, they're both kind of, when you watch them, I watched a couple of fights today, it's hard to really know how it's going to go because they both have some similar skill sets, right? Like they're both kind of, I thought at first Ty is like a faster sort of guy. But then when I look at some of Lewis's old fights, he's pretty fast himself at times, you know, like a little bit explosive when he wants to be. It kind of just depends which one comes on the day, you know. I'm not really sure if Ty really has that explosiveness edge or not. They're both like hunting big shots. They're both kind of similar in some way, power punches, you know. What are your thoughts?
I think Lewis definitely has the explosive advantage, especially now he's got his back issues fixed. Like the way he throws the sort of jump and double touch kicks where he'll throw the outside right kick to the left leg high kick, or even how he does throw spinning kicks now and then. He's a very sort of athletic guy for his size, which he doesn't look it. But a lot of these big athletic shots, they do tend to drain his gas tank a bit. And he hasn't been shown to really put a lot of people out with them sort of shots. It's more of a sort of big uppercuts, big overhands and stuff like that. Whereas Ty's are sort of more, not so much calculated, but he's not throwing the sort of super high explosive moves. He might blitz him with his footwork, but you don't really see him swinging for the fence. Against his last fight against Sakai, he looked a lot more calculated. He worked the body well. And I think that's going to be the main telling factor is I think that if Bam Bam can work the body successfully, I think we've seen Lewis tends to fade over when he gets finished against Garn and all that. It's not so much he gets sparked out KO'd, it's more fatigue sets in. So I think if Tai can set a pace, set a high pace, initiate a few wrestling scrambles, clinch, makes a real gritty and dirty fight and works that body, I think Bam Bam could see success with trying to fade him out of the fight.
Yeah, man. And looking at their records, like at the first glance, you see that the Beast has like 35 MMA fights and Tuivasa only has 16. But then when you look back and see Tuivasa's also got a kickboxing background and a boxing background. So when you kind of add them together on the terms of like actual competition, they're not too dissimilar. I would say as far as the high level competition that they've faced, obviously Lewis has had a bit of a higher level of people that he's faced. So that kind of gives him a bit of an advantage, but all being all in, when they both had a lot of fights, they aren't that dissimilar, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think the experience factor, especially at this level in heavyweight, I don't think there's going to be too much that Tai hasn't seen before. Obviously, Lewis has a win, even though it's probably the most boring heavyweight fight ever over the current champ in Ngannou. He still has that win. And Tai has been in there with good guys like JDS, experienced veterans like Stephen Shoes, good kickboxers like Augusto Sakai. So it's not like anything's going to phase Tai of this sort of respect. The thing is that I know Lewis doesn't like to wrestle, but Tai's main weakness and the way he's got exposed the most we've seen is with that wrestling. So it will be interesting if Derrick Lewis does try to mix in a few takedowns. But then again, it's Derrick Lewis. He might just be happy to lose 14 and a half minutes of that fight just to land that one big shot to try and put Tai's lights out.
Yeah, man. Did you watch the fight with Mark Hunt?
I have, but I watched it back when it happened, so I haven't rewatched it in like recent memory.
Yeah, they're just I'm just thinking because obviously Mark Hunt and Tuivasa kind of like friends and trained together before, so I don't know if he's giving him any hints or anything, or if there's any similarities really. But when Lewis fought Hunt, he kind of like threw a lot of high kicks and wrestled a bit as well, kind of like alluding to what you were saying. Like he seemed to be kind of, working towards more of a, especially with the wrestling side, working towards a bit of a weakness because Hunt's not known as a wrestler either, right? I wonder if he'll, I wonder if he will try and attack that just to see if he thinks he has the advantage in that area, because he looked a tiny bit tentative against Hunt. I think he knew the power of Mark Hunt. And you got to think Tuivasa's got some of the same sort of power, maybe not exactly the same, but he throws some very heavy shots as well, right?
Yeah, spot on. And I think also it will be good to see Derrick wrestle purely because then we can get a gauge of how Tai is going. So if we do see Derrick shooting in the first 2 or 3 minutes of that first round and we see Tai do all the correct things, I think it's not only going to be good for this fight, but it's also going to be like good long term for his career. I was like, all right, he's addressed the holes. He's sort of, even though Lewis isn't the elite level wrestler, say Curtis Blades or someone is, but if he can still top the takedowns and do all the right things, it shows that he has been working on it. But if we see Lewis come out, throw a few high kicks, then he does start to get the takedowns and he just starts to sort of lay on top and stuff like that, then I guess we will see that, all right, Tai still has that weakness, which is probably going to hold him back from that sort of top 5, top 10.
Yeah, man. I was just looking at the stats too. If you look at their MMA records, looking at Tuivasa, out of his fights, 75% of his fights is ended by KO, won by KO. And then of his wins, 92% of his wins have been KO. You look at Lewis, 21 of his 35 fights, he won by KO, 60%, 80%. So if you look at their fights overall, Tuivasa is a little bit stronger, but that's kind of nothing. It's MMA maths again. It's talking about like there's different opponents, different things, but it's kind of interesting. They both got a massive high-end KO ratio anyway. So, both have the opportunity to hurt each other. Who's going to land that shot and hurt the other one? We don't really know. And it's kind of strange. The odds are really strongly in favor of betting it for Lewis. It's like in the Australian terms, it's $1.48 versus $2.59 for Tuivasa. So strong favorite Lewis, but I think these guys are both dangerous enough to hurt each other. And I can see it going, either way, depending on who's the best on the night.
Yeah, I agree. I almost think this fight, if I was I'd make her a bookie. I almost think I would have this fight as dead even sort of thing, because both guys have the power to start each other. Lewis has sort of been looking good in his last few, but he did obviously have that loss. And then Ty's been looking sort of on the come up in that. So I think I can see how Lewis is a favorite purely if people are looking off sort of name value and he's got wins over the current champion, everything like that. But I think as it stands, how they both match up right now, I think it's pretty much a pick and fight.
Yeah, man. And I must say, being the fan of the Tuivasa, Tai Tuivasa, I'm going to have to go for him again. I think that, he's the up and comer. He's got the momentum. He's 28 years old versus 36-year-old. If this was a shoey drinking competition, he'll fucking smash him. So I think that transfers over to fighting pretty well. And I think I think he'll take him out, man. I just think that he's been showing a bit of improvement in his game, fight by fight, whether it's wrestling, whether it's composure, whether it's footwork and distancing. And I think that'll lend him to be just a little bit better than he has been each fight and work for that big hit, just like Mark Hunt did, land a shot on Derrick Lewis and hurt him later in the fight. I'm picking KO Tuivasa, 3rd round. What are you thinking, man?
Looks like we're thinking the same thing, because that's what I was going to say. Even though I think Lewis can be explosive and catch him, I think this is going to be sort of Ty's coming out party where he really sort of puts on like, okay, I'm here. Like, you got to start respecting me. Even though he does have that personality of just like the shoey sort of guy from Australia, he's like, no, I'm here. I'm going to be a top contender. You have to worry about me. And I think if Lewis starts to initiate takedowns and Tai can defend, and then if Tai starts working the body early as well as chopping with them big leg kicks that he likes, so he can chop down his base, get him static, start to work the body and sort of try and fatigue him. I'm picking, just to be different, I think he might KO him in the 2nd round. With KO, I don't think it's going to be a stiff KO. I think it's going to be body work, punishment, and he's just going to sort of volume in, gas him out and put him down though. I don't think Derrick Lewis is going to get sort of one big overhand and collapse sort of thing.
That's it, man. Needless to say, it doesn't sound like a bet the house on it one this time. I think I wouldn't bet the house on it. I might bet a beer on it or something.
I might bet my bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'll just bet a beer on this one, man. I think I want to touch this. It's too scary, man. Two massive frightening dudes cracking on, man. Both love to punch on. I don't think I can bet on either, man. But let's hope that the Aussie gets it up, man.
Definitely.
Cool. All right, thanks, bro. Talk to you next week.
Sounds good, bro.